In January 2025, the UK government quietly released statistics that shocked economists worldwide. Nearly half of junior doctors now report actively seeking work abroad, according to the Royal College of Physicians, reflecting a broader crisis across skilled professions. The country that once ruled a quarter of the globe is now losing its brightest minds at an unprecedented rate. Official data shows that skilled worker visa departures have reached levels never recorded before, creating what experts are calling brain devastation rather than simple brain drain. But what makes this crisis even more alarming is what's happening to those who stay behind. The numbers paint a picture of a nation in decline, and the implications reach far beyond Britain's borders. The official migration statistics tell a story that policymakers can no longer ignore. The numbers that changed everything. The January 2025 official migration statistics revealed that skilled worker visa departures reached 133,000, while new skilled worker visas granted totaled just 44,000. This represents the worst skilled worker exodus in British history and marks a dramatic acceleration from previous years. By 2024, the departures outnumbered arrivals by 3 to 1, up from parity just 5 years earlier. What makes these numbers particularly devastating is that they capture university graduates, healthcare professionals, engineers, and financial specialists who represent decades of educational investment and economic potential. The scale represents a complete reversal from historical patterns, where Britain traditionally attracted more skilled workers than it lost. Throughout the 1990s and early 2000s, the UK maintained a positive skilled migration balance, but the current crisis has fundamentally altered this dynamic. The speed of change has caught policymakers off guard as the deterioration accelerated rapidly through 2023 and 2024. Traditional brain drain describes a gradual loss of talented individuals to better opportunities abroad, but what Britain faces now requires new terminology. Brain devastation captures the speed and scale of the current crisis, where entire professional networks are disappearing within single calendar years. Unlike brain drain, which typically affects individual sectors or regions, brain devastation hollows out multiple industries simultaneously while creating cascading effects across the broader economy. The phenomenon becomes visible in concrete ways, such as the 23% rise in rough sleeping recorded in London, as economic foundations crumble beneath the surface prosperity. Warning signs appeared throughout 2024 in professional association surveys and recruitment data that policymakers largely dismissed as temporary post-pandemic adjustments. The Royal College of Physicians reported in March 2024 that 47% of junior doctors were actively seeking positions abroad, up from 31% the previous year. Engineering firms began reporting difficulty filling senior positions by summer 2024, while university departments saw unprecedented numbers of academic staff accepting overseas appointments. Financial services headhunters noted increased interest from London professionals exploring opportunities in Singapore, Dubai, and New York throughout the autumn months. Healthcare leads the exodus according to professional body data, with the Nursing and Midwifery Council recording 47,000 nurse departures in 2023 alone. Technology and financial services follow closely behind, though precise sector breakdowns remain incomplete due to data collection challenges. The loss spans all skill levels from junior professionals to senior executives, creating gaps that cascade through entire organizational structures. Preliminary destination data shows Canada received the largest number of British skilled immigrants in 2024, followed by Australia, the United States, and Germany. Singapore attracted significant numbers of British professionals, while the Netherlands and Ireland also benefited substantially. These countries offer established visa pathways, competitive salaries, and critically lower living costs relative to professional incomes than Britain currently provides. The methodology behind these statistics represents a significant improvement over previous assessments, which relied heavily on passenger surveys and visa application data. The new system tracks national insurance number deregistrations, professional body membership transfers, and tax residency changes to create a more comprehensive picture. Additionally, the integration of employer reporting requirements implemented in 2024 provides real-time data on skilled worker departures that previous methods missed entirely. Brexit-related data collection problems initially obscured the true scale of skilled immigration, particularly regarding EU nationals who could leave without visa requirements or formal notifications. The loss of EU statistical cooperation agreements meant that British authorities had limited visibility into where skilled workers were relocating within Europe. Only with the implementation of new digital tracking systems in late 2023 did the full extent of the crisis become apparent to government statisticians. The The demographic breakdown reveals that 68% of skilled immigrants are aged between 25 and 40, representing the core productive years of professional careers. Approximately 73% hold university degrees, with 31% possessing postgraduate qualifications. Perhaps most concerning, 41% of skilled immigrants have children, meaning Britain loses not just current productivity but future generations. The gender split shows 52% male and 48% female immigrants, indicating the crisis affects both sexes equally across professional categories. Historical precedents provide sobering context for what happens when skilled immigration reaches these levels. Ireland experienced similar patterns during the 1950s and 1980s economic crises, losing entire generations of educated young people and requiring decades to rebuild professional capacity. East Germany saw comparable skilled worker losses following reunification, leading to prolonged regional economic stagnation. More recently, Greece and Spain lost significant portions of their skilled workforce following the 2008 financial crisis, with lasting effects on innovation and productivity. The economic implications extend far beyond simple workforce numbers. Each skilled immigrant represents approximately £200,000 in educational investment that will now benefit other economies rather than Britain. Moreover, skilled workers typically generate 2.3 additional jobs through their economic activity, meaning substantial losses potentially eliminate nearly 1 million employment opportunities. The tax revenue implications are equally stark, with skilled immigrants typically contributing 43% more in taxes than the national average. Countries that experience sustained skilled immigration at these rates face what economists call the middle income trap, where declining human capital prevents economic advancement. This creates a downward spiral where deteriorating conditions drive further immigration, making it increasingly difficult to attract skilled workers back. The phenomenon becomes self-reinforcing as professional networks abroad facilitate additional departures while domestic opportunities diminish. The timing coincides with global competition for skilled workers reaching unprecedented levels, as developed nations implement increasingly aggressive recruitment policies. Canada, Australia, and Germany have all expanded skilled migration programs specifically targeting British professionals while offering faster visa processing, better work-life balance, and more affordable housing than the UK can currently provide. These statistics represent more than just economic data. They signal a fundamental shift in Britain's position within the global talent market, with implications that become starkest when examining the country's supposed crown jewel of prosperity. London's wealth mirage. London's economy alone tops $500 billion, tantamount to the 26th largest country, yet homelessness rose to 1 in 43 in 2023. The city maintains its status as Europe's premier financial hub, with the Square Mile and Canary Wharf generating enormous wealth through banking, insurance, and investment services that dwarf most national economies. International financial institutions continue expanding their London operations, while the city attracts more foreign direct investment than any other European capital, creating an appearance of unstoppable economic momentum. Yet beneath this veneer of prosperity lies a housing crisis that has reached catastrophic proportions. London councils now estimate that 1 in 43 residents lack secure housing, representing a dramatic worsening from the already alarming 1 in 50 figure recorded in previous years. This translates to approximately 207,000 homeless individuals across Greater London, including families, professionals, and workers, who, despite earning decent salaries, cannot afford basic accommodation in the capital. The breakdown of homelessness categories reveals the full scope of London's crisis, with rough sleeping increasing by 23% since 2023 to reach 11,400 individuals sleeping on streets, parks, and doorways each night. Temporary accommodation placements have surged to 89,600 households, including 147,000 children living in hotels, bed and breakfasts, or converted office spaces, often miles from their schools and communities. Hidden homelessness affects an estimated 62,000 additional people staying with friends, relatives, or in overcrowded conditions because they cannot access proper housing through normal channels. London's property market defied economic uncertainty throughout 2024 and early 2025, with average values reaching £566,000, according to the UK House Price Index, though prices fell by 2.1% monthly in Inner London during July 2025, representing the steepest decline in over 2 decades. Despite this recent correction, property values remain completely disconnected from local earning capacity, with the median London property costing approximately 15 times the median local salary compared to 7.7 times nationally. Estate agents report that competitive bidding continues for desirable properties, while rental costs averaged £1,399 monthly in June 2025, representing annual growth of 6.7% that far exceeds wage increases. The disconnect between London's wealth and resident welfare becomes clear when comparing international opportunities available to skilled professionals. A junior professional in New York earns more than double of London despite only one-third higher living costs. The same professional relocating to New York could expect a starting salary of $95,000, approximately £76,000, with rental costs for comparable accommodation around $2,800 monthly, representing significantly better purchasing power despite New York's reputation for high costs. Similar patterns emerge across professional categories, with qualified teachers earning £35,000 in London, struggling to afford even shared accommodation, while their counterparts in Toronto earn CAD $65,000, with housing costs roughly 40% lower relative to income. Junior doctors completing foundation training in London earn £29,000 annually, barely above minimum wage when adjusted for working hours, while equivalent positions in Australia offer AUD 70,000 with subsidized accommodation and better work-life balance. London's GDP per capita figures of approximately £56,000 annually create an illusion of widespread prosperity that masks severe inequality in wealth distribution. The city's financial services sector generates enormous profits concentrated among senior executives, investment bankers, and property owners, while teachers, nurses, police officers, and other essential workers struggle with housing costs that consume 60% to 80% of their take-home pay. This concentration means that aggregate economic statistics reflect the success of a small, wealthy minority rather than typical resident experiences. Financial sector employment represents only 13% of London's workforce, yet accounts for nearly 35% of total wages paid in the capital, creating a dual economy where finance professionals compete for housing with public sector workers earning one-third their salaries. The resulting property price inflation, driven by high-earning financial workers, makes housing unaffordable for teachers, police officers, nurses, and other middle-income professionals, whose services keep the city functioning daily. Transport data reveals how housing costs force London workers into increasingly distant locations, with 2.4 million people commuting into central London daily from surrounding counties. The average London worker now travels 43 minutes each way to reach their workplace compared to 31 minutes in 2015, as housing costs push residents further from employment centers. Season ticket costs for commuting exceed £3,500 annually, adding significant expense to workers already struggling with housing affordability, while consuming additional hours that could be spent with families or pursuing personal development. London contributes approximately 23% of total UK economic output, despite housing only 13% of the population, creating a mathematical distortion in national living standards calculations. When economists remove London's economic contribution from UK statistics, the remaining regions perform worse than Mississippi in terms of GDP per capita, highlighting how the capital's wealth masks broader national decline. This dependency creates vulnerability, as London's economic problems inevitably affect the entire country's fiscal position and international competitiveness. The capital's crisis exemplifies broader problems driving skilled immigration across Britain, as professionals realize their qualifications provide better opportunities abroad than remaining in London, despite its global status. Housing costs that require two professional salaries to afford modest accommodation, combined with deteriorating public services and limited social mobility, create conditions where immigration becomes rational economic decision-making rather than lifestyle choice. The contradiction between London's global wealth and local living standards represents a microcosm of Britain's broader economic dysfunction, where aggregate statistics disguise the reality facing ordinary professionals. This disparity becomes even more stark when examining what has happened to purchasing power across the entire country over the past 2 decades. The real wage catastrophe. Office for National Statistics data for early 2025 confirms what millions of British workers already know from their weekly shopping trips and monthly rent payments. Regular pay increased 5.6% nominally, but just 1.8% in real terms when adjusted for inflation. This means that despite nominal wage increases, workers take home roughly the same purchasing power they had in 2008, while everything around them has become dramatically more expensive. Real wages have now stagnated for nearly 2 decades, not the frequently cited 15 years, creating a prolonged period of declining living standards that exceeds any previous peacetime experience. The retail sector exemplifies this crisis, with workers experiencing 7.4% nominal wage growth, yet still earning below 2008 levels in real terms. Even substantial percentage increases translate to minimal real income gains for workers already among the lowest paid in the economy. Finance and business services recorded weaker growth at just 4% annually, which represents a significant real terms pay cut for professionals in London, where living costs continue rising faster than inflation metrics capture. Research shows UK workers are on average £11,000 worse off annually than if wages had kept pace with peers like Germany. The gap between UK and German household incomes expanded from £500 in 2008 to £4,000 today, demonstrating how sustained wage stagnation compounds over time to create substantial international competitiveness problems. Workers in comparable roles earn significantly more in real terms across Europe, North America, and Australasia, while enjoying better public services and more affordable housing relative to their incomes. The inflation surge between 2021 and 2024 affected different income brackets with devastating inequality. Lower-income households faced the harshest impact as essential goods like food, energy, and housing consumed larger portions of their budgets. The Resolution Foundation projects that the bottom half of non-pensioner households will see average real incomes fall by 1% between 2024 and 2030, while the top half experiences modest growth. The bottom 10th percentile faces a 4% decline over this period, and an 8% reduction worth £1,000 annually across the entire decade. Essential living costs now consume unprecedented portions of average British incomes. Average monthly rent reached £1,344 nationally, with London averaging £1,399, representing annual increases of 6.7% that far exceed wage growth. Food costs increased by double-digit percentages, while energy bills remain elevated despite recent reductions. Transport costs, including rail season tickets exceeding £3,500, annually add further pressure on household budgets already stretched beyond sustainable limits. Generational analysis reveals how wage stagnation particularly devastates millennials and Generation Z, who entered the workforce during or after the 2008 financial crisis. These generations earn less in real terms than their parents did at equivalent career stages, while facing higher housing costs, longer education debt repayment periods, and reduced pension prospects. A 30-year-old professional today typically earns less purchasing power than a 30-year-old in 1995, despite having superior qualifications and working longer hours. Public sector pay freezes and caps have created particular hardship for teachers, nurses, police officers, and civil servants whose wages fell dramatically behind private sector comparisons. Teachers' starting salaries of £28,000 provide inadequate compensation for graduate-level work requiring continuing education and significant responsibility. Qualified nurses earn less than retail managers while working longer hours under more stressful conditions. Police constables and civil servants face real terms pay cuts year after year, while their counterparts abroad receive competitive compensation packages. Survey data from immigrants reveals wage stagnation as the primary factor driving skilled worker departures. Professional immigrants report that salary increases abroad of 40% to 80% combined with lower living costs create dramatically improved living standards within months of relocation. Teachers moving to Canada report doubling their disposable income while working fewer hours and enjoying better professional support. Nurses relocating to Australia describe achieving home ownership and financial security that remained impossible despite years of NHS service. The Resolution Foundation Living Standards Outlook 2025 projects continued stagnation, with typical non-pensioner households experiencing just 1% income growth over 5 years following 2024. This represents approximately £300 additional annual income spread across 5 years, or roughly £5 weekly, which fails to keep pace with expected cost increases. The 2025 to 2026 outlook shows completely flat growth at 0%, indicating that wage stagnation will persist rather than improve in the immediate future. These wage trends create rational economic incentives for skilled immigration, as professionals recognize their qualifications provide substantially better compensation abroad. The combination of stagnant wages, rising living costs, and deteriorating public services makes immigration an economically logical decision rather than a lifestyle choice. Yet even for those who might accept lower purchasing power, one particular cost has spiraled so far beyond reach that it alone drives immigration decisions regardless of other factors. The housing nightmare deepens. Housing affordability has deteriorated to levels that make immigration inevitable for many professionals. In 2020, the median house cost 7.7 times earnings, up from 6.3 in 2019, according to ONS affordability data. The average property value reached £269,000 nationally, with annual growth of 3.9% that continues outpacing wage increases across most regions. These statistics demonstrate that housing costs consume ever larger portions of professional incomes, making home ownership increasingly impossible for skilled workers who would have easily qualified for mortgages just a decade ago. First-time buyer deposits now require average savings of £53,800 based on typical 20% deposit requirements, though many lenders demand larger deposits from buyers without family financial support. Mortgage rates averaging 5.2% for standard products mean monthly payments consume approximately 45% of median household income, before considering other housing costs like maintenance, insurance, and council tax. The percentage of income required for housing has reached unsustainable levels, where professionals earning £40,000 annually face monthly housing costs exceeding £1,800, including mortgage payments and essential utilities, leaving minimal income for other necessities or savings. Average UK rent reached £1,344 monthly, representing annual increases of 6.7% that far exceed wage growth in most sectors. This represents the highest rental growth since records began, creating unprecedented affordability pressures for professional tenants. London rents averaged £1,399 monthly, while Manchester, Birmingham, and other major cities saw rents approaching £1,100 monthly for modest properties. Professional couples earning combined incomes of £70,000 annually often struggle to save for deposits, while paying £2,200 monthly for rental accommodation that provides no long-term security or wealth accumulation opportunities. The number of households in temporary accommodation reached 127,890 in December 2024, including 165,510 children, representing a 13.6% increase from the previous year. Shelter reports that 354,000 people are homeless across Britain, with families spending over 5 years in bed and breakfast accommodation. These figures include teachers, nurses, police officers, and other public sector workers, whose essential services keep communities functioning, yet cannot access stable housing through normal market mechanisms. The bank of mom and dad has become essential for property purchases, creating a two-tier system where family wealth determines housing access more than professional qualifications or earned income. First-time buyers with parental support purchase properties worth £50,000 to £100,000 more than those relying solely on earned income, according to mortgage industry analysis. This family wealth advantage creates permanent inequality, where equally qualified professionals face vastly different housing opportunities based entirely on family financial circumstances, rather than their own career achievements or earning potential. Case studies reveal how housing costs specifically drive skilled immigration decisions among professionals who might otherwise remain in Britain. Dr. Sarah Martinez, a qualified surgeon, moved from London to Toronto, where she purchased a 4-bedroom house for CAD $650,000, approximately £380,000, compared to similar London properties costing £900,000 or more. Her mortgage payments dropped by 60%, while her salary increased by 40%, creating dramatically improved financial security within months of immigration. Software engineer James Thompson relocated from Manchester to Berlin, where rental costs fell by half, while his salary remained comparable, allowing him to save for property purchase rather than spend entire income on accommodation. Planning permission statistics demonstrate why house building rates remain insufficient to address housing demand, with just 234,000 new homes completed in 2024, against estimated annual need of 340,000 units. Local planning authorities approved 87% fewer applications than required to meet housing targets, while infrastructure constraints limit development in areas with strongest employment growth. The planning system adds average delays of 18 months to residential projects,